Prime Minister Justin Trudeau continues his New York City trip today. This morning, the Prime Minister spoke at the Council on Foreign Relations. Trudeau pitched Canada as a wise investment and trusted trading partner to an influential U.S. audience. Trudeau also spoke about Canada's plan to streamline the regulatory process to capitalize on our country's underground riches. He also spoke about defending democracy and support for Ukraine.
We can't just push back or punish or single out bad actors. We can't just say, for example, that we want our companies to restrict the amount of critical minerals they buy from China specifically. Instead, we should simply commit to sourcing our critical minerals from places that ban forced labor, that have safety standards, that pay their workers a living wage, that have high environmental protections, that work in partnership with Indigenous peoples. That creates incentives that makes the right thing to do also the smart thing to do.
Trudeau's trip to the U.S. comes on the heels of a successful visit by President Joe Biden last month. So for more on Trudeau's trip to New York City, we're joined live by CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver. Annie, good to see you. Walk us through some of the highlights of Trudeau's speech today that we kind of just played a few clips from.
Hi, Jennifer. Well, as you mentioned, this was really all about pitching Canada as a good place to invest. He was trying to sell Canada and specifically its rare earth minerals and resources to an American audience. These were business leaders, academics from Harvard, West Point, some of the big banks, Deutsche Bank, Citibank, JP Morgan. So movers and shakers that he is really trying to get on side and get them to invest in Canada and perhaps not in the U.S. or someplace else where they may put their money. And so he was trying to also put this divide between China and Canada, saying that, you know, he made a joke that the American audience really loved, that since he got elected in 2015, he really followed the puck and invested a lot in rare earth minerals so that Canada would be a place that was good to invest and good to start building these batteries. He said, you know, Canada used to be number 6 when it came to battery production and a place to do that, and now we're number 2 behind China. So he was really trying to sort of show the differences between China and Canada. He talked about China being the number 1 place where everyone gets their batteries from right now, where all the lithium is produced, manufactured, and put into things like batteries. But he said, you know, why is it that we tolerate having bad working conditions for workers in China and tolerate, you know, batteries being produced when some of the harmful chemicals are just dispersed into rivers? Why is that okay in China, but it's not something that you would do at home? And so by trying to make that differentiation, what he was trying to do is say, look, Canada, he says, has invested a lot in climate change and ensuring that the batteries are being produced in areas and ways that are climate friendly and a lot greener, and that they help workers. And so he's trying to say, look, don't put your money in China, put it in Canada, because it'll be better for you in the long run, and it's a more resilient supply chain that you can be trusted that will deliver. Whereas China, you know, sometimes, and we saw this during the pandemic, closes down their markets, and it makes it a lot harder to try to do business. And he's saying Canada is an ally to the United States, and he really highlighted that, especially with the Biden trip, and said you can trust on Canada to get this stuff done and to get it done on time and in the right way.
So we definitely heard the investment pitch, but very quickly, Annie, how does that appear to be landing with this influential U.S. audience?
Well, the U.S. audience seemed to be, you know, fairly pleased. There were lots of claps and cheers. We didn't get a chance to talk to too many of them, but some of the questions, one was about, you know, a lot of these minerals are in Africa. What are you going to do there? And he talked about the fact that, yes, there are a lot of these minerals that we need in Africa, and we have to help those nations to change their practices and ensure that they're more climate friendly. And, you know, what's interesting, too, is in Canada, there are a lot of mining companies that say, look, this is great. We want to have more minerals mined. We want to produce these batteries, but let's see a plan. So there are those in the sector that are calling on the Prime Minister and the Liberal government to provide a more clear plan and timeline about how exactly they intend to get these minerals out. What are some of the changes they're going to do to allow this to be done in a cleaner manner, a faster manner? How can we get production ramped up even faster to be more competitive with China, who right now sort of has a stronghold on this market?
Okay, CTV News' Annie Bergeron-Oliver live for us in New York. Thank you.